Hey, hey. Whew. Coming in hot. Coming in hot. And I've got pizza on my face. Hi, everybody. It's Joni Bates, founder and CEO of JB & Co., your concierge real estate agent in North Atlanta. And for some housekeeping, what are we drinking tonight? Since I just downed and literally inhaled a piece of pizza, a good standby. I've got Josh, a little cab. I like Josh. It's a great backup. Goes good with that deep dish pizza that was delicious. Delicious. So some housekeeping. So this is a live show right now on two different Facebook pages, my business page and my personal page. It is also on my YouTube channel. So do all the things with all those things, like share, follow, and all the different things. And we have been working really hard the past few weeks on talking about investing. And a lot of you are on fire about investing, and I love that. But that's only a portion of my business. Only a portion. Single family homes, and of course, Harlow wants to say hi because I instantly start talking, and then Harlow wants to say hi. Hold on. Come on. Okay. Say hi, Harlow. You feel better now? You feel better that you're with mom? Awesome. Okay. We're talking about staging. We're talking about all the things that JB & Co. does for your listings. And I have sold many homes, personal homes, many. And I noticed that it's the little touches that make all the difference. It's the L as in love that you put into your home when you're getting ready to sell it. That really makes all the difference. Sorry, we had conversation going and I had to nix them. All right, mom's working. Everyone needs to be quiet. I don't have a studio. I'm in the middle of my keeping room, right? Hi, Becca, 100%, right? So it's the L, it's the touches. When I was selling my houses, I noticed that, the agent would come in and be like, okay, this is what you should list it for. This is how you should do it. Catch you later. And I was left thinking to myself, I know there's more to this. And the reason I felt like there was more to it is I can remember the feeling when you walked into certain homes, they just had a really good energy. And I thought to myself, if we can duplicate that energy in a home, it's going to sell better. It's going to sell faster. It's going to sell for more money. So for me personally, I didn't really know it was called staging then, but I would, bake the bread or the cookies, and I would make sure there was nothing on the countertops and everything was clean and shiny. And then I would do fresh flowers, even to the point of taking rose petals and sprinkling them in the bedroom. Like, just honestly, when I did that to my houses, they sold fast. They photographed beautifully. I'm like, we're onto something here. So when I became an agent, I knew that part of my business, even when I started 3 years ago, and I wasn't selling the big, $1 million homes, every single house I did, I personally did the staging. And then now that I have a team and I don't always have the time to be able to do that, that's when I hire my incredibly talented Becca. And Becca's going to be joining us very shortly, and we're going to be talking about staging. Now, Becca has been on before. Becca talks to us often about staging and about the walk and talk that JB & Co. provides and the report that Becca provides. But I just wanted to do some broad strokes right now about when you're in a space. It doesn't have to be a house. It can be a store or something, about the vibe and the feeling that you get from that store. First thing that comes to mind, I mean, we all have favorite places. Like I can go into Rustic Market and I don't have to buy a thing. I can just hang out in there all day. It smells good. It's organized. It looks good. It's an escape. It feels good. And those of you who have little ones and a busy house and laundry piled up to here, when you go into a space that's calm and uncluttered, you're like, oh, I want to be here. I want to stay here. It gives you that hotel feeling, right? That's what staging does. I mean, it's not realistic to live that way. I mean, I know some people live that way. Shout out to you. That's not me. But when you're creating a product, you're creating an experience so that people can come into the home and feel genuine love and comfort and peace. And that's done with all the senses. And Becca's going to talk to us about all that stuff. So, Becca, I know I said at 7:10, but if you're ready, I can bring you on. Just give me a thumbs up. I'm sending you that invite. Coming at ya. Two seconds. You'll have it. There's a delay there. I had a little delay. So I want to add there. I see a thumbs up, Becca. You should have that in your inbox. So I want to know if you, as homeowners, have staged your homes personally. And I guarantee you have. If you've sold your home, you've staged it. Even if it's minimal, you've put out the good towels and you've yelled at your kids and said, don't use those. That's not for you. You have put things away in an unrealistic way because the toaster's put away and nowadays the air fryer's put away and all the things, your vitamins and whatever else you have on your counters are all put away and that's not how you normally live. That's staging. It truly is. When you just go through those little steps to make your home into more of an experience product, that's staging. It really, really makes a difference. All the homes that I have staged have sold faster and for more money than homes I haven't staged. And there is no level of price point about staging. Now, if you have a vacant house and it's huge, and we're talking like, 12, 14 rooms, and people have a real hard time identifying the space, well, then absolutely, you're going to need a higher level of staging where you might need to bring in some furniture and create some vignettes. I've used the term vignettes. Vignettes means a small grouping of furniture or chairs or little tables just to create an intimate talking space. That's what a vignette is. So you might need to do that on the houses that are like super huge. But every house deserves a little love and staging. I see my friend Becca. I see my girl. Hello, friend. I think you're on mute. Hold on. Boom. Unmute. Hold on. Okay, try again. Say hello, Becca. What a second. It says it's unmuted. All right, try now. Hi, Becca.
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
Hi.
Winning.
It says you need an IT department. You don't need it.
Right? I don't need an IT department. My IT department left today to Auburn. So bye, IT department.
That's nice that you have one there occasionally to visit you, though.
I do. And you know my deep love for my girl.
Yes.
I'm just so excited that she's got her wings and she took off in that little blue Mustang today. And when I'm out in the driveway and I said, bye, Barbie. And she just looked at me. She's like, bye, Barbie.
Oh.
Right? So much love. Okay, so Becca, for all of our friends who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself? I know for like the 20th time on Wine Wednesday, but go ahead and hit it.
I know these people are probably tired of seeing my face. So I am Becca Fiducive. I am interior designer and stager with RF Interiors. And I do mainly occupied staging. I do not have a warehouse, so I don't do your typical staging that a lot of the larger staging houses do. I generally, like I do for you, rework people's own things, which I honestly, that's my favorite job of all the things that I do. I love the challenge of reworking people's own things. And so I'll come in and do a walk and talk. And that basically is walking the house with the homeowner, or with you if the homeowner is not available.
Mm-hmm.
And I go room by room and basically take pictures and take mental notes of what I feel needs to be done in each room so that the homeowner can get the most money for their home when they're selling. And these are things that are suggestions. They're not the Bible. So just based on my experience and what I know will sell a house, and you have very good experience about what sells a house and what doesn't as well.
Yeah.
And look, in this market, everybody thinks, okay, your house is going to sell. I don't need to stage. And that may be true. However, it will sell faster when it's staged, and it will sell for about typically 20% more than an unstaged home. So I go back, I put together a report. That report gets sent to the homeowner, and I give them a list of everything that they need to do for each room. And that's move this chair to this room, pack up this bookcase, put this in storage, depersonalizing. And that can get tough sometimes because people are attached to their things. You know, we all love our things. We're in our homes. Those are very personal things to us. So I think the challenge for me sometimes, which is, I know why you hire me, because you like to be the good cop and you make me be the bad cop.
There's such bliss there. I have to tell you. I mean, first of all, we're friends. We met professionally and then instantly went, where have you been all my life?
Yes.
I mean, like instantly. And so we play off each other so well because Becca knows. Becca walks into a space and has vision. Like she's like, I know what this needs. And it is, I mean, we're talking, if we need to make sure we put your links in here as far as to your Facebook page. The decorating that Becca does for Christmas, the decorating that Becca just does in general. See this wall behind me? That's all Becca. Like she has so much vision that sometimes it's like drinking through a fire hose because she's rolling, and
this never shuts off. I was awake last night until probably 3 a.m. because my brain never shuts off. A creative's brain is always going.
Thank God for creative brains. And so truly, she's coming in and rolling, and I'm following with the homeowner going, oh, okay, what she said. It's absolute perfection. I mean, to watch you work. I mean, I'm always amazed and just I feel so blessed because you provide such a service for my clients that it automatically elevates my company because you elevate the experience. And I can't thank you enough for all that you do. And I think about the house we did in Brookstone too on Fairwood. Wow.
Yeah.
The ROI for my client, we went so far over asking where she wanted to land, and we went way over that. The joy that she experienced, and we would never have gotten that price point without Becca's staging.
Well, that was a challenge because it was occupied, but most of the items had already been taken out of the home. So it was
she was doing some right sizing. She was going to live near a winery.
Amen.
We became best friends too. And so she sold most everything.
Yeah.
So Becca really had to create those vignettes and make the rooms very intentional.
Right. I mean, even just small things like, I mean, it's small to me, but everybody's probably like, oh, you're moving a room. But even in that house, for example, moving or flip-flopping the living room and the dining room, right?
Right.
So
Right.
she had the dining room away from the kitchen. It made more sense to have it closer to the kitchen. So we flip-flopped those rooms so that it did make the flow of the house make more sense.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
doing those small changes, even just moving one piece of furniture from one room to the next and rethinking how you use your own items. And look, I'm guilty of it too. I live in my house, and it is very challenging, even for me as a designer, to go through my house and make changes because I've lived with the stuff for so long that it's hard for me to think outside of that. It's very
Absolutely.
easy. Yeah, it's very easy for me to do it in other people's homes. So I understand that challenge because I have it too. I've hired designers to come into my house because I just get in a mental block, and it's good for me to get a second opinion and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And bounce some ideas off of each other. But to walk into somebody's house who has lived there for 20, 30 years,
Yeah.
knowing that they have an attachment to their things,
Right.
it can be challenging to get them on board with the staging process.
Well, and it's about perspective and the whole notion of everyone who's coming into your house, they've never been there before. And they need to envision it with their stuff in it. So if all of their stuff is there and their pictures and their family stuff and all that, they can't view themselves in it.
It almost becomes a distraction, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
rather than enhancing the space and making the space appear larger, that's why sometimes I'll remove a majority of the furniture, just have a few key pieces so they know what the space is utilized for.
Right.
But they can really see the space for what it is. If you have it loaded down with accessories, as beautiful as people's things are, sometimes it's too many for somebody to envision the space properly. So, that's why I tend to, rather than add things, like I don't bring in a lot of your stuff. You do have a lot of staging items, but typically it's just fluff items, right? Like greenery and white towels and things like that. And you do an amazing job of understanding the importance of the exterior. A lot of people miss that part, as stagers included.
Interior, exterior staging are equally, and sometimes I would venture to say that exterior staging, curb appeal, yard maintenance is more important.
Absolutely.
Because you need that curb appeal. You need someone to be driving by, seeing that for sale sign and saying yes, as opposed to, oh.
Right. I mean, really, that's the first impression. And when, I see so many times homeowners will put a lot of money into maintaining the inside. The inside is impeccable.
Yes.
But if the outside they have not maintained, let's say the wood rot around the windows, or there's cobwebs in the corner of the front porch, or the yard is full of weeds, you're absolutely right. That's an immediate turnoff, and they won't even make it to see the inside of the house.
Nope. They're not calling that sign. They're not making a showing. They're not reaching out to their agent, because there's, even before you make a decision, your body makes a decision. There's Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. Your body knows before your brain does. And it's subconscious. So you really do need to create a product from the beginning at the lawn all the way through the home, even into the backyard. You need to create a product.
Yeah. And you have to hit all of the senses too, in a positive way. So, we go into a lot of homes where people have their fur babies, and we all love our fur babies. But if your first impression when you walk in the door is there's pet stains, or there's pet odors, or there's pet hair, that's collecting around the baseboards, I mean, those are things that potential buyers notice.
Absolutely.
And so, understanding that it's not just looking pretty, but you need it to smell good. You need great lighting. Something so simple just as replacing light bulbs. A lot of us are like, oh, I'll get to that next week. I'll get to that next month.
It doesn't matter that one's cool and one's warm. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it does.
It does.
Yeah. And forget about it if they're burnt out. We don't do that. We don't do burnt bulbs.
Yeah. And people don't even realize, because they live with it for so long, they don't even realize that it's happened. And before you know it, you have 20 bulbs out in your house. So, just opening up blinds, taking blinds off of windows. We've done that in so many houses, and it makes such a massive difference in the space, in the feel. When you walk in, like you said, you need to feel good. You need to have that hit you like, this is my home. And that happens when you can let a bunch of light in, and you can have good smells. And, like you said, it just feels warm and cozy when you walk in.
Yeah. You want to create that energy, that feeling.
Yeah.
We've all been in a house before where we've gone, it just didn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And instantly, I've been in just past couple of weeks, been in a couple really, really beautiful architecturally homes that have been sitting on the market a little too long. And I wanted to see why. And when you open the door and walk in, you can see why. It just has a heaviness to it. And that's not just paint color. That's, like you said, lighting. It has everything to do with that energy. And so I venture to say, and we've talked about this before, having a completely vacant home is not the best way to sell it either.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. And I think maybe 2 years ago that was fine. Now it's not. And I think for people, you talked about being dark, and we also have to address homes that are dated. So people who've been in the same home for 30 years and have had the same, the kind of 90s dark furniture and dark Tuscan colored walls. I mean, that can feel very heavy to a buyer when they walk in. And so, refurnishing isn't always an option. So bringing in lighter bedding, let's say, is an easy fix. If you've got a dark, heavy primary bedroom set and you want to brighten it up, we'll take the curtains down. We'll add white bedding, and that will instantly improve the feel of that space. There was a house I did in Suitors Pond last year, and they had some darker walls, and we went in and painted it a really pretty creamy white. I mean, it opened up the whole space. It's a totally different feel, and that's just paint. So there are things that you can do where you don't have to spend a lot of money to get massive improvements.
Yeah. And if you're looking at selling your home, but you're not quite sure, but you're going to probably list it next year, but you're not ready to do it yet, call Becca. Have her help you pick out your colors so that when you do put it on the market, you don't have Grimace Purple in the dining room. Not that there's anything wrong with Grimace Purple, but it might not
it's not for everybody.
It might not translate in a year. If your intention is to move in the next 12 months, have a designer, i.e. Becca, come in and help you so that you're not having to repaint after you just painted.
I'm actually working with a client right now. They're not planning on moving for another year, but they knew that certain things needed to be done. So they wanted to see what the priorities were, so they knew what they could be doing over the next year to get prepared to sell. Amen. Hallelujah. You're doing the right things, right? So we're going to update the kitchen, and we're not going crazy. Like, you can get very caught up into, I need to do, a full primary bath renovation. I need to do a whole kitchen renovation. That's not necessarily the case. So we're doing some simple updates that will update the home and get them to the price point where they want to be.
Exactly.
Without going crazy overboard.
Well, and it will pay for itself. Those
Absolutely.
improvements that they're doing, particularly in primary baths and primary, in the kitchen, that's where the money is going to be.
That's where you're going to get your return. Absolutely. Yeah, there were a couple of secondary bathrooms where I said, you know what? We don't need to do anything in here. It's a secondary bathroom. Somebody's likely going to come in and gut this anyway. So, it's being smart about the improvements that you do make. And like you said, if you know that you're going to be leaving, take a professional in, and they, I do consults. It's not very expensive just to even have me come in and do a consult, or me or anybody.
Exactly.
And just come in and give advice on, what are the things we need to prioritize, because that can snowball, right? You get into it and you go, oh, well, I need to redo this and I need to do
Well,
that.
you start, I mean, we're guilty of it. We walk
Yeah.
into, we're looking for basic staging stuff. You give a mouse a cookie and they buy 4. I'm
Right.
going to need this. Did you see those pillows? I think, oh my gosh, they've got Halloween decorations.
Yeah.
Woo! You start going.
I know,
Well,
which is the whole reason I'm cleaning out my garage right now. It's full of staging stuff. And I'm like, I got to get it out before I get my Christmas stuff in here.
I saw that. I saw the stuff. She's got a Facebook page going on right now selling stuff. And I started shopping. I'm like, girl, don't need anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
I am so guilty of walking into a store and saying, ooh, that would be really cool. Ooh, I will need that at some point for somebody.
Right. Suzanne says, and then you end up spending all your profits.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Well, we have got, Suzanne says she's decluttering too.
She is. I'm surprised because she's already bought stuff from me for my sale. And I'm surprised because she said she was getting rid of stuff, but she's buying more stuff from me.
That is so funny. Well, you were kind enough to send me some talking points. And so I've got those running across the bottom. We've hit a few of them. So let's review and make sure that we're on track, because you and I can just go on and on and on.
Oh, that last one, the different pre-packing, moving, and storing approaches. So
let's talk.
That's something that I really is probably one of the first things that I ask you when you bring me into a home. Where are they going? Are we downsizing? Are we upsizing? Are we right sizing? Are we moving out of state?
Yep.
Is this a temporary move? Because that will really help guide me in my process as far as where I'm going to lead them and moving furniture and pulling things out. And that is a very different scenario for everybody, right? So we have somebody right now who is moving out of state for maybe a couple of years.
Yep.
They're downsizing, and then they're going to be moving to another state in a couple of years. So it's okay. What's
like
going
3 moves in there? Yeah.
Right. What's going with you now? What do you need, for these 2 years? And how are we going to handle this logistically? And it can be overwhelming. And I understand that for clients, it can be extremely overwhelming.
Right.
So sometimes in a situation like that, it might be that we get a pod to come in and we put everything into a pod, move it once. So you're not touching things multiple times and having to move it. That's a lot of labor. So moving it once and then not thinking about it for a while, putting it in long-term storage for 2 years, and then they drop it back off at your driveway. So
exactly.
That's one approach. I know we've talked to clients who are just, I don't even know where to start. I have stuff in every room and it's just overwhelming.
It is.
And, the idea of having them start, it's kind of like, the Dave Ramsey approach to debt, right? So if you're not familiar, you're to pay off your lowest debt first.
Yep.
Okay. People think you want to attack the biggest piece first, but you actually don't.
Yes.
Because it's psychological, right?
Yes.
So you pay off the smallest debt first, and then that snowballs, and then you go to the next one and the next one. And by the time you do the small one and the medium one and the larger one, then you're confident and you feel good and you're motivated, right?
You create momentum too. Yes.
If you start in a room that needs the most work done, you get distracted. You end up, oh, I got to clean out the drawer in the kitchen. Oh, wait, I got to put this in the garage. Oh, I need to organize the garage. So starting with the room that needs the least amount of work, getting done what you need to get done. And like you said, shutting the door and put a sign on it and say, finished, ready to pack. And then that's done. And you don't have to think about it anymore. And then you can move on to the next room.
Yes.
So there's different approaches based on the client, based on, the amount of pre-packing that needs to be done prior to their move, based on their scenario of where they're going next. And that's something that I don't take lightly when I walk into a situation, and being able to assess that and say, okay, what's going to be not only give you the most money for your house and sell your house the quickest, but what's going to be the easiest thing on the homeowner to get you to the finish line.
Exactly. We know that moving is extremely stressful, and I call it white knuckling. There's certain parts of a move that you are white knuckling.
Yes.
It is our goal. The whole reason JB and Co provides a stager for free for you to do all this is because we want to stand in that gap. We want to eliminate the white knuckle moments as much as possible. And it can be really, really stressful. I mean, it's one of the top 5 stressors is relocating. And a lot of times, true fact, is you're relocating, you're moving because you've had another major life event.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, well, we're having a baby, we got to move. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Woo, that's a lot. Or, such and such needs help. We need to go take care of mom because dad passed. We're going to move. Okay, so you're going to deal with a passing of a parent and you're going to move. So it usually comes together. And as professionals, we are very, very aware of everything that you're dealing with. And for us, it's just a Tuesday. I mean, we move people all the time and go through this process, but we always keep individual situations front of mind because it's tough.
It is. And some people, it's the first time that they've done this in 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's different now. It's overwhelming. And obviously, the longer you're in a house, the more stuff you accumulate and the more daunting of a task that seems to be.
Absolutely.
And so I agree that, you when you understand the client's situation and what they're going through, not just with their house, but personally and everything else that's going around them and where their mental state is,
yes.
Sometimes we have to be a little more delicate with them and how we approach things. And,
Absolutely.
Sometimes we do have to start with baby steps. Sometimes it is just, okay, I know you're planning on moving in a year. Let's go ahead and focus on what needs to be done, this month, 6 months from now. And then when it gets to the finish line, when you're talking about 6 weeks out, then it's a lot easier of a process.
Exactly. We always talk about, particularly as moms, we really focus on the end. Okay, so we're going to Disney. We're going on a cruise. We're doing whatever. This is when all the ducks need to be in a row. So we have our passports, we have everything to get on that boat or to get your kid down the aisle, getting married, whatever. Yeah. All the things have to happen at just the right time to make sure you have a successful event. And it's the exact same way with selling your home. Staging goes truly through the entire process, from the initial meeting to the walk and talk to Becca coming back after the client has gotten their homework sheet and checking the homework and final fluffing, final staging up to pictures. Like, this is a relationship from the entire way through. And then you have to destage. So there's that. Yeah. So it's a big process, but we're really good at it.
We've got it pretty much nailed to a science, and everybody's different. We've had some, I'd say we've had some curveballs thrown at us occasionally, but it's fun. I enjoy doing it with you, and everyone's a challenge, and I love that too.
Well, and every day is different. And I think that's the best part is, and it doesn't matter if it's, $1 million home or a 250 home. Every house can have its prom. Like, every house.
I like that. You're right. It is kind of like their prom.
It is. It's like, this is not the first glass tonight.
Putting on the corsage and putting
on a roll. And I got extra sparkles going. I knew how my day was going to go today because my sweet Sarah Grace was going back to Auburn. I'm like, I'm going to need to bring the glitter because I'm not feeling it today. So yeah.
You should have told me. I would have worn my glitter tonight.
Right. I love it.
There was one that came through.
Suzanne wants to know, what's the best way to sell furniture with your home?
Oh, that's on you.
That's on me. So
here's the only question.
Fun fact. Okay, this is how I learned it. Things that convey. The word is convey. Things that stay with the house automatically are anything, if you took the house, turned it upside down and shook it, everything that falls out is basically personal property. Everything that sticks conveys. So if you would like to sell an armoire, something that's really heavy, or a pool table or something like that, it cannot be a part of the purchase and sales agreement. What it can be is a side agreement on a bill of sale that does not go through the process of like going to the attorney and going through all that. A lender doesn't want to know that you're selling grandma's dining room table and the pool table.
Mhm.
They don't want to see any of that stuff. Your purchase and sales agreement is what goes to the lender. So that's a sidebar, but it absolutely is a negotiating tool. So if someone comes back on an agreement to address concerns after, it's called an ATAC, after an inspection, and they say, we're going to want this fixed and this fixed, and you say, how about no, but I'll give you the pool table.
Yeah.
Negotiating.
That actually happened to us when we were moving into this house. The woman wanted all of my decor. Like, she wanted the pictures on the wall, you know, everything. She said, just leave it as is. I want it just as is.
Okay.
And so what we ended up doing is negotiating that just between us. So between buyer and seller.
Exactly.
I sent her pictures of everything, prices of what I wanted. We negotiated a bulk amount, and then she cut us a separate check outside of the closing table. So, and you're right. Lenders are like, la, 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 I don't want to hear about it. Don't tell me.
La, 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 la. Don't tell me. It has nothing to do with the deal. I don't want to know. Yeah. I don't care about grandma's china. And you're like, how could you not? Clutch my pearls. How could you not?
So to piggyback on Suzanne's question, do you find that most buyers want their own items, or do you find it a situation that a lot of people walk into a home and go, oh my gosh, I would love everything in here? Do you see more of that, or do you see somebody who says, I want my own stuff?
You know, if someone is, I used to move every 3 years just for corporate relocation. So I got real comfortable with having things that I loved. So when I went into a home, I already knew my stuff was going to be good. But if I had been in a home for more than 10 to 15 years and I walked into something different, I would very likely be saying, oh yeah, I would really like to purchase some of these items, particularly if it's new construction. Because most of the time, if a home is 3 to 5 years old, the folks who've moved into it have brought new things with them.
I would agree with that.
And it's stunning, and it fits the room, it fits the function, and you don't want to have to think about it. So I do have a number of people who want to purchase the house as is, furnished. We just do just what you said. We do a purchase and sale, and they kind of sidebar everything. And I noticed also a lot of investors right now are doing, short-term rentals, and they will buy the condo, they will buy this cabin
furnished
because they're going to have to do it anyways.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on the situation and
it really does.
The style of the home and really scale. So if you've got, let's say, a much larger home and you have larger scale furniture, it probably would make sense to try to sell that larger scale furniture with that larger home, because it's going to be expensive for somebody to, or on the seller side of things, if you're trying to move and you're downsizing, do you really need all this large furniture in your new place? Probably not.
Well, and I know, and Becca, you've helped me do this, picking out the perfect size armoire or hutch or piece of furniture specific for the dimensions of that room. Mm-hmm. Chances are that 14-foot table isn't going to make it in another space.
Yeah.
So you might want to make it a negotiating item.
Right. Okay. So the last one we have left, I see it keeps coming across the screen, is putting away the collections.
Let's talk about it.
Oh, I love collections.
I do too.
Let's see. You've got your teacup collection. You've got your vintage doorknob collection.
So many collections. I used to have a collection of actual doors, like antique big 6-foot doors, and I would use them. Okay, well, those are hard to move.
Yes. So we often, and I would say probably more often than not, walk into homes where the homeowner has collections. And these are things, and as a collector of vintage glass and vintage jewelry and dinnerware and cake stands, and the list could keep going and going.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
so good at a party.
I understand the love of things, the things that bring us joy.
Yes.
However, when it comes to selling a home, the collections are not going to sell your house. They will be actually a distraction.
It becomes a topic. It becomes a moment when someone's supposed to spend 30 minutes on showing time in a house. They're spending 20 minutes of it looking at your precious moments.
Yeah, I've seen precious moments. I've seen, I had one house that had 3 curio cabinets full of dolls when you first walked in the house.
That's not creepy at all.
That can be off-putting to some. Collections above the kitchen cabinets.
Yes. Kitchen cabinets have become a very big spot to put things.
Yeah. And that, honestly, your eye immediately goes to those and not to the kitchen cabinets, not to the beautiful white granite. It goes to your collection, which is probably, if it's been up there for several years, has collected, grease and dust. So I would say that's probably when I come in, I've got kind of my list of basics that I go through with each homeowner, and it's, put away anything personal. So that's important paperwork that you may have sitting out. You probably don't want that sitting out when people are coming through your house.
Classic mistake in an office.
Oh yeah. Financial records, things like that needs to all be put away. Pictures of your beautiful children, those need to be put away. Anything with words, and I will make an exception from time to time if it's a cute sign for a kitchen, and you've seen that. I go, no words, but I go, I'll make an exception for that.
But sometimes it fits because you start to get that rustic market hardware Pottery Barn vibe. Yeah. As long as you don't read your way through a house.
Right. I don't need to know that this is the pantry and that's the kitchen and that's the powder room and that's right.
Laundry.
So, anything with words, I would say any kind of religious paraphernalia throughout the home. I typically will ask the homeowner to take that down, and that is a very sensitive subject, and it's very polarizing. But when you look at things in a broader picture, you want to appeal to the most buyers.
Exactly.
So if you are a Jesus lover and you've got crosses all over the house, and let's say a Muslim comes to the house and says, I like the house, but right, or vice versa, right? So it can be off-putting to some.
I have to say, this is a perfect example. There was a beautiful, beautiful estate home. I mean, we're talking outbuildings and stables and just stunning. When I walked into the house, I'm like taking in it was just majestic, just soaring. And above the fireplace was a huge picture of the thorn of crowns with blood coming down. And moving, the passion, absolutely. Above the fireplace, maybe not today.
Yeah.
But that's how I remember that beautiful estate home. So polarizing, it can mean something to you. Absolutely. It's your faith. It's personal. But what you're doing is depersonalizing your home.
Right.
So it's nothing to get offended by. It's just creating a product.
And that's what I tell people all the time. We're not staging this with your style. Now I'm using all of their things in their home so that personality still comes through, and the personality of the home still comes through. I'm certainly not going to bring farmhouse stuff into a modern home or modern things into a farmhouse, right? I mean, I still want that feel of the house. But if you understand that you want to appeal to the most buyers, taking those things down and making it as generic as possible.
Yes.
Right? Neutral, generic, so that, anybody who comes through can't be offended by anything. They can't be offended by the color on the wall. They can't be offended by the cross on the wall. They can't be offended by your precious moments collection. It's
taxidermy. I mean, we had taxidermy, baby.
And I will tell you, so I get more pushback on pulling heads off the wall than I do taking crosses off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
People are very, very attached to their dead animals. It blows my mind. And sometimes I work with, well, you know, Hope, I work with another realtor,
yes.
and we've had to ask the photographer to edit a picture over the fireplace if there was a deer head or something for pictures. So there's ways around it if they're really pushing back. But yeah.
It's fun. It's so much fun. Oh my goodness. My dear friend, we have talked. We are way over time.
Way over time.
That's how we do this. I mean, honestly, we could do it.
Hey, you could just roll down the hill and we can continue our conversation offline.
Seriously. I adore you. And how can people get a hold of you?
So I am on my phone pretty much 24/7, as Suzanne knows. Cell phone is 678-777-5735. It's the redneck in us. Very true, Suzanne. And email is fiducive, F as in Frank, EDUSIV@gmail.com. You can reach me on Facebook. You can go to my personal page. My business page is RF Interiors and Design. You can reach me through Joni. So
always. I mean, truly, I adore you. You are a true professional. And I have to give a shout out because we have a group that gets together of women entrepreneurs that Becca has started. And tribes are real. I'm just saying, if you are an entrepreneur, no shade on guys, but I'm just talking to the ladies. If you're an entrepreneur, we got something really cool going on, and reach out to us because we'd love to have you.
Yeah, the Girl Getters. It's a fantastic group. We're meeting next week. So if you want to join, reach out to myself or Joni and we'll get you connected. It's no judgment zone, and people of all different backgrounds come together and help support each other and build each other up as female entrepreneurs. It's an awesome space.
It is a really good space. And you know what? We're going to have to do a Wine Wednesday just on Girl Getters because it is really good fun.
That would be fun.
I think so. Okay. I adore you.
You too. Thanks for having me on.
I will talk to you soon. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. Mwah. Smooches, y'all.
Smooches.